Ah, the French champagne.
Champagne!
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
Once they were men, now they are land crabs.
Amanda Bynes is a national treasure.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Big Daddy lost his eagle.
I hope
So-
no one from my family listens to this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is...
Yo! Hey! Welcome back to the Podlet with the Bodlet. Because it has a tiny... Dan, don't roll your eyes. Can you roll your eyes in a more audible way? There it is. That's what they want to hear. Once again, we got a couple more of these lined up, but we're going to do this one today. I'm Jack as usual. Over there is Sean. Say
Hey.
hi. Over there is Dan.
Hey.
And we're going to talk yet again about a little mini topic. And this one might be the miniest yet. We'll see. We tend to ramble. But this one is, can you think of like a perfect movie, or as close to as you can think of? Something that you saw it and you were like, man, they did not miss a step. Every part of that fit amazingly and in a way that like I was engaged and like, whoa, and I loved it. And like, it's really hard. Of course, these things are subjective, right? All these like thinking of movies and stuff, it's subjective. And I'm happy to lead this one in because it's my question, which
Iron
is
Man.
Yeah, Iron Man,
Yeah.
Avatar, The Irishman. So, I think for me, a movie that I remember when I saw it, I was blown away by feeling that it was borderline perfect. Is Get Out. I think Get Out is a
Interesting.
near perfect movie.
Interesting.
I think there is hardly a misstep. There's not a part of that script that has any fat. There's not a part of the imagery that isn't fleshed out. There's not like, it is so thorough and yet so like mellifluous in its execution. Like it doesn't seem difficult. It doesn't seem forced. It seems so casual as well.
Yeah.
That movie to me is like, when I think about on my scale of like, okay, is this movie good? And like in a way that like perfect is not a really, again, it's a really weird term. We're not looking for perfection in movies, to be clear. It's not possible. But when I think about like, what do I want movies to be more like? I want movies to be more like Get Out.
Right. It's certainly a clinically perfect movie, you know?
That's the thing.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think I love that movie too. It didn't leap out to, like you said that, and it fits all those boxes, but there's something in me that's still being like, but
It's funny
I
how
don't know what.
it doesn't make it my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Which is the funny thing about this conversation.
Yeah.
But I definitely like when like some of the movies that I've seen more lately that I think embody that. Like just thinking of top movies of recent years are like Midsommar. I loved Jojo Rabbit. I think is up there as like a fucking outstanding movie. It's not,
Right.
I wouldn't quite. Again, it's super subjective, and it's I'm basing this on like feelings and stuff as well.
A little bit of fat in that.
A little bit of fat in that movie.
Yeah.
And like Midsommar is a bit funny, but like, but there's something about that movie. Like it's just, there's just not an ounce of fat on it. Just to use that term.
I mean,
It's so clean. It
is
effective.
I feel like so here's my thing with Get Out. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Jordan Peele. Because when I think Key and Peele is a masterclass in comedy. I think that his entire comedic catalog speaks for itself.
Mad TV back in those days.
Absolutely.
I watched him there too.
Absolutely. I think comedically he's a genius. And when I saw Get Out, I was like, oh, it's not just comedy. This guy is a brilliant filmmaker.
Yeah.
But I've since seen other stuff that he has either written or directed or attached himself to in some way that is like mediocre at best.
Yeah, but
And-
that's not the thing.
No, but I mean, it's not the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it's, it's,
You're just having a hard time separating those feelings?
yeah, it is
Because of what
giving
he
me a
did to
bit of a
Twilight
weird
Zone?
bias. Pardon me?
Because of what he did to Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, Twilight Zone was brutal. Us, I thought, was kind of shit.
No, it's not shit.
No.
It's
it's-
kind of shit.
It's not Get Out.
Yeah, it's just not Get
No,
Out.
but it's
That's the
trying
thing.
so hard to do this, to do what Get Out did.
Yeah.
And like that is what I find
But that's
frustrating.
Like Hitchcock just did the same film over and over, but did it well. You know, like
I mean, I don't think that Us was. I think that it was like, again, a technically well made film,
yeah.
but with a nonsensical story. I thought it was.
I don't know.
It was a heightened metaphor that didn't land perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, this is my issue with Get Out, is that I'm finding it hard not to paint all of his filmmaking with my tainted brush. So
Your taint brush.
Yeah,
with
don't
my
don't
taint
brush with your
with my
your
taint brush. I mean, it would actually have to be my butthole brush because I wouldn't have a way to
because
hold
you don't
it
actually
on
have
my
a taint.
taint.
The hole actually goes straight up.
I do have a taint, but I'm
Okay.
saying how would I, unless I like taped it to my taint and
Right.
then just.
Well,
Anyways, what I'm saying is, and I have a feeling that on a rewatch now of Get Out, I might be able to poke some holes in it and find some flaws. I think that it was such a standout.
you
because,
could find holes in most movies. I know.
but,
Yeah.
but this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like everything that you mentioned, Midsommar, Get Out, what was the third one
I
you
said
said?
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit. They stand out in your mind because they are unique films that are doing stuff that no one else is doing, at least in that moment. Jojo Rabbit, I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, it is not a cookie cutter film. It is an original idea. You know what I mean? Like
It's certainly like now that Taika has done a lot of films, it like fits perfectly into what he has done.
sure,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. But at the time when it came out, it was
Yeah.
something new and different.
Yeah.
And same thing with Get Out, and Get Out came out at a really, really socially relevant time.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
So it fucking just made this huge splash.
Yeah.
And that is the that's the impression that it's left in my brain.
Yeah.
Is like the impact it made in society as well as how fucking cool and original it was. Yeah. But I think on a rewatch it'd be like, actually maybe there is some fat in this movie. Like
Maybe.
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's great. I don't know that I'd say it's like the perfect movie.
I mean, again, there's no movie that's actually going to be the perfect movie.
No.
But for me,
No, but
it's way, way up there.
I would
Can you
say
think of-
from the same perspective, I was going to say The Princess Bride, which is to me my
Ooh,
perfect
yeah,
movie.
that's-
The-
yeah.
I admittedly though there is fat in that, and I think there's a lot of things in The Princess Bride that I really enjoy that other people don't. That is going to slaughter it. To me, a clinically perfect movie is Jurassic Park. From start to finish, every scene accomplishes something. Every character has a progression until they're either eaten or escape, and just the themes that are being explored are done with such wonder and joy. And by the end of the film, even though it's technically a horror film, I guess you still are left with this like kind of empowerment feeling, right? And and it's Spielberg. It's written really well. It is shot beautifully. It was doing CG like no one had ever seen before, and animatronics and stuff like that. So to me, my clinically perfect movie is Jurassic Park.
Interesting.
I haven't seen the first Jurassic Park in a long time. It was too scary for me when I was a kid.
Didn't we watch it
scared
on the
me too much.
podcast?
No,
No.
Oh, how has that not happened?
well, yeah, we can do it up against whatever the
Land
new
Before Time?
terrible Jurassic Park is going
Jurassic
to be.
World.
Jurassic World.
Into
Fuck
the
Me Daddy or
into
whatever.
the
Yeah.
Spider-Verse or something. Yeah, whatever it is happening.
wish it was
Jurassic
Jurassic World,
World
Fuck Me
3,
Daddy.
Fuck Me Daddy. That's just, I mean, Jordan Peele's Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Princess Bride is a good one, though.
It's up there.
It is a good one because, like, I don't know. When talking about a perfect movie, you got to think about the intention of the filmmaker and, like, overall how the movie makes you feel. Because, there's going to be problems in every movie. There's
Yeah.
always going to be holes. But it's like, what are you willing to forgive for the overall impact of the movie and the execution of the vision of the filmmaker?
Yeah, to me, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Like, and also one that would be up there as well is like on the podcast, and it trumped all other movies, was The Thing.
Ooh,
The
yeah.
thing was quite good.
That's a wildly.
It's not perfect though.
It's not, but again, they're not going to be. But it's way up there.
Yeah.
It is. That is a movie that I was like blown away by how good it was.
Yeah.
In terms of what it let you know and what it didn't let you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and just the execution. Do you have anything you can think of, Dan?
I mean, I think like aside from Gods of Egypt,
Yeah, aside from Gods of Egypt.
you know what's funny is that I don't know that I entirely believe this, but right now, what's coming to mind is Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, wild! I love these. A lot of these are like pseudo horror movies, which I think is interesting.
Well, and I think it is interesting, but I think Cabin in the Woods, it's the same. It's for the same reasons as a movie like Princess Bride.
Right.
There's like a weird nostalgia factor. It's by no means a technically perfect film, but it hits like I personally can't find any flaws in it because of how much I enjoy it.
Right.
And I think it hits all the right notes. Is it Joss Whedon?
Yeah.
It's incredibly thought out.
It's incredibly thought out. It's really clever writing. It's all tied together very well, and like it hits that like perfect balance of horror and camp that is like Joss Whedon has done some shit, has made some shitty projects, but when he is like when he like hits his note, it's fucking great.
It's great.
So I don't know, and it's funny because I know that I've had this conversation, or not this conversation, but there's been movies in the past where I've watched and I'm like, oh, that is actually like a profoundly excellent film, but it's escaping me right now. I can't think of like an example.
Yeah, we should have done some research.
Maybe like watching 200 films on it, but I wouldn't say, I don't know that I'd say any of the movies that we watched were like were perfect. Because you can have a technically perfect movie and not be moved by it, and therefore, is it a good movie? Is it a perfect movie?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, what are we even talking about, right? It's, as I said, it's super subjective, but it's like we're talking about, again, in your personal feeling, something that sits really far on that side of the spectrum of like that was just good in all the ways.
Yeah,
right. Like it worked in all the ways. Like I think it's going to be a contender. I want to watch it like 2 more times. Is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I still haven't seen it, but I really want to.
It's like, it is not, it's up there. Again, it's in the same field of like the top gold medalists
Right.
of movies for me. Like it's just so good. And there are lots of great movies, you know what I mean? And like different movies are going to be great in their own way, and what they achieve and how they achieve it, they're going to do it in their own way. But it's like, it's just, for me, it's about like all the parts fitting together and supporting each other.
Fargo is a
Fargo.
perfect movie.
I needed to rewatch it recently.
I think, again, it's very personal because I think the Coen brothers speak to me on a visceral level with pretty much every single one of their films. But
Except for Hail Caesar.
I love Hail Caesar.
Oh, it's such dog shit.
It's not dog shit.
Such
it is a
dog
delightful
shit.
romp from start to finish.
Oh my god.
So I guess
You want
that's
to put a
pod.
fucking bullet in my brain.
We'll just do a podlet about Hail Caesar, I guess.
Oh,
Sure.
fuck. I'll be sick that day.
But Fargo
Hail or bail?
is this
I'm back in.
That's how we.
beautiful little introspection into the human condition. It just does its thing in like an hour 40, I want to say. I don't think it's a super long film. It is brilliantly acted, brilliantly written, brilliantly shot, start to finish, and then you're just left. Like it goes away.
Yeah.
And you take from it what you want. I think that's a perfect film.
Yeah. Where like, again, all the parts support the other parts.
Yeah.
And they all share the load in like a really interesting way that makes the movie stronger. Like sometimes, a lot of these movies, like these Oscar bait movies, usually have like a really powerful, the Sorkin and the script is powerful.
They speak really fast while talking.
Yeah, but it's doing most of the work, and somehow that throws off the balance of the movie. And when we see filmmaking, I think we unconsciously want the different parts to support each other. Like Princess Bride, go back to that one. It's so interesting because you're constantly taking in and enjoying these different modes of storytelling through the script and the visuals and the edit choices and the acting choices and costuming and like
the music
and like so many things just make it a pleasure. And in its case, it wants you to be like, this is a joy, and you're like, you're doing it with all the powers of filmmaking.
You've succeeded.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think makes movies really strong, is when I feel that like all the components have been utilized and they're not leaning too hard into like why I can't. I mean, actually, I was gonna say like I think Arrival is up there for me.
Ooh.
Arrival is a bit of a sleeper in that I haven't watched it since I first watched it, but I remember I watched it and I was like, I love everything about this.
I don't exactly remember what the ending was, but I remember that it lost me. I remember I was
You wanted a
1,000
rampage. You
What's
wanted
that?
the aliens to just go amok all over humanity.
Independence Day.
I don't even know what I wanted, but I know that I was so heavily invested, and I'd say 98% of that movie I thought was outstanding. Kind of similar to Interstellar. But I found that like the resolution of the film, their kind of explanation for the whole thing. I forget exactly what it was.
For which movie?
The language?
For Arrival, there was some. Well, no, because the language was a central part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
But there was something about like because time is circular, that like there was actually like a time travel component or something.
It was that when as she learned.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers to Arrival. Apparently, is what's happening now. As she learned to comprehend their language, it allowed her to comprehend time in a non-linear way.
Right.
So she was essentially reprogramming her brain in understanding their language.
Right.
That's how they perceive the universe is time in a different way.
Yeah.
So in her doing that, she became someone who didn't exist, no longer solely experienced time in a linear way.
Yeah, okay, that's coming back to me. Yeah, I think that I was so interested in like the linguistic aspect.
Yeah.
From an academic standpoint, maybe watching that movie, and that it felt like a very like shoehorned Hollywood twist that was unnecessary in an already like fantastic story. You know what I mean?
Disagree, but
that's
yes,
fine. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But the ending ruined it for me. Similar to Interstellar, which I thought was a really
Visually
outstanding,
stunning film.
and surprisingly accurate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson was like, that's a good movie.
well,
Afterwards.
no, there's been a lot of stuff done on Interstellar about just like how it relates to their approach to time travel and like and that like there's certain planets they visit with like shifts in gravity, and like a lot of the scientific elements of that film are actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then they just like throw it all out the window in the final 20 minutes.
He goes into a black hole.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think
Spoilers.
that's a movie that I agree. I really like that movie, but there's a balance component of this that I think it lacks. Like the visual components of Interstellar are like overpower all the other components of that movie, in my opinion.
I will also put into the fray
One more.
something that I know Daniel is going to yell at me for.
Can't wait.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
oh fuck
I
off.
thought you were gonna say MVP.
MVP 2, baby. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
No, how? No way.
I've never seen it.
No fucking way.
I bet if I saw The Shining, I would put The Shining on that list.
The Shining is
Probably.
actually surprisingly
Yeah,
not
it's
that
very
good.
We just have very different philosophies about
We do.
it.
We do.
Yeah.
I think The Shining is, and again, my problem is that like we've talked about, I approach a lot of these movies having only seen them in like recent years and having spent my entire life being exposed to the pop culture references about them and other movies that have come since that are, you know, more kind of spectacular.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to get the impact that I would have had when the movie first came out. So I don't think I can fully appreciate a movie like, you know, The Godfather or The Shining for like what it was
Right.
now. So that's my problem with The Shining. I think like there's a couple of moments that I'm like that have like haunted me to this day, but I don't think generally it's like I don't see what all the hype is about.
But you're saying 2001.
2001 is a lot of what I enjoy about films is how I feel physically after. Like, what has it done to my body and my state of being at the end of a film? Mm-hmm. And 2001 was the first movie, and every time I've watched it since, it is a slow burn, and I know that's why you don't like it, because it is quote unquote boring, but the payoff at the end, after having such a long time of a slow burn, leaves me shaking generally.
I don't know that I entirely understood the ending. I think I had to like do some research on it afterwards, and even still, I was like,
Sure, the ending is like from philosophically speaking, the ending is a bit of a muddled, like hippy dippy understanding of life and the creation of the universe and that kind of stuff. It's all very like cerebral. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but like after going through the journey and then the ending of like descending into the space child's like brain, whatever he's doing at the end there.
Yeah.
Just the colors and the sounds and the scope, what they've created for you to take in with your senses.
Yeah.
Has never been paralleled for me.
Sure. I mean, it is definitely a unique experience in the movie, and I mean, what they did practically in that film was really, really impressive.
Wow.
But
it's very long.
It's very long, and it just feels like such a fucking wank. That's
Kubrick.
but that's my problem. I know Kubrick again with the Shining too. Yeah. But like, it's fucking like all I could think the entire movie was, who fucking cares? Beyond, I know you do, Sean. I know you do. But like, once you get past the fact that they did almost all of this with like models, and like which is really, really impressive.
Love that.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen
and
it.
Full size sets that were rotating to create a gravitational like pull.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. From a filmmaking perspective and someone who appreciates the technique of it, that is really, really cool stuff. But like, fucking, it doesn't warrant a 3-hour fucking meander through history. Fuck off.
You dedicate
Get your dick out of your hand.
Dedicate an afternoon to like
Literally an
expanding your
afternoon.
mind.
Dude, any movie with an intermission can lick my balls. That's my fucking position
I want to drop Daniel in 1956.
I'm gonna remember that when we do our next podlet about movie length.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
First Matrix.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
No?
I revisited. I think the first Matrix is...
They're kind of derpy, I know.
It just holds up.
Well, it's...
Really?
It holds
Just
up as an
holds up.
action movie, but
Yeah.
I remembered
The
it
first
from
one.
my childhood being this philosophical quandary that really makes you think about the nature of existence, and like, it doesn't. And so that disappoints me, because that's what I want it to be. Because
Right.
the questions that it poses are actually really interesting and fun to think about, but it's just a fucking Keanu Reeves goes pew pew for 2 hours. And again,
Really good movie.
cinematic feat.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just wanted to...
Groundbreaking in its technology.
Yeah. Just wanted to see what people thought.
Not perfect.
Not my perfect movie.
No.
Revolution.
The new ones, though. The new one for sure.
Did you end up saying one that you thought was up there? I can't remember now.
I said Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the
Yeah.
Woods. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
but
Right.
again, like, I don't agree with it being like a perfect movie, but I think in intention,
Gods of Egypt.
Gods of Egypt, intention of the filmmaker and the execution of that vision and how it generally makes you feel. Because if I leave a movie and I don't feel like picking it apart, that's huge.
Yeah.
And Cabin in the Woods, I think, is a really perfect marriage of a.
That is huge.
What's that?
When you leave a movie and don't want to pick it apart, that is huge for you. Yeah.
I think it's huge for any of us.
Yeah.
But like, I think the Cabin in the Woods is a really perfect marriage of like a unique idea that incorporates a lot of familiar imagery, but in a new way. The writing is really clever. The acting is good. It's like the perfect level of camp. I don't know. That's my pick for now, knowing that it's probably wrong.
Driven.
Driven is up there too.
Driven.
Driven is up
The
there too.
perfect movie.
Yeah.
Driven.
Yeah.
Yeah, Driven. Driven.
All right. Well, great. Thanks for tuning in. Again, this week, tweet at Citizen Kane VS. Tell Sean
Your perfect
what
movie.
you think is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And what would you tell him to do that week?
Shove it right up your ass.
Yeah, literally get a not like a comfortable Blu-ray,
Yeah.
but like a
Yeah.
chonky VHS.
Or like a VHS or like a laser disc, ideally.
What are those shaped like?
They're the same size as a vinyl. They're the precursor. They're the precursor to DVDs, but they're about that big. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Shove it right.
And you're
up
gonna
your ass.
fold it up like
no folding needed.
No folding.
Nope. That's a tear right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Way to end.
Yeah. Make sure you have your taint brush handy
Yeah.
for your Anyway. Cheers.
What about just a spool of of film? You know, how big's that?
A spool of film?
Yeah.
About the size of a vinyl.
Okay.
Thicker, though.
Thicker, yeah,
Yeah.
and more incendiary,
I don't know what that word means.
fire catching.
Good words making, Sean. It's like at the end of Inglourious Bastards
Yeah.
when they light the place on fire,
Yeah.
right? Because of the film.
Ah.
All right. Well, End of Podlet, which means Dan's gonna make little mouth sounds. And
They're getting gross now.
They're really gross.
Yeah, I've lost like the initial
you're
feeling of it.
adding more of like the
Does it-
voice behind it.
Yeah, it's like a moan there. It felt very
Yeah.
sexual this time.
Just eat mashed potatoes in your mind, you know?
Oh no, that's not. No,
Yeah,
with
no,
no moan,
no.
it's fucked too.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, hold on.
Bye,
So
bye,
you want
everyone.
more? You
All
want
right,
more
we'll
moan?
keep workshopping
Bye.
it. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Here.
No. You have to work on this off mic, and then we'll figure it out later. Bye bye.
Podlet.